There were a group of people who were doing a Bible study, and they were studying the book of Malachi in the Old Testament. And as they were going through it, they got to a particular passage that puzzled them. They stopped and they were wondering what this meant. Now, I'm going to tell you what one of the people in this group did as he went to investigate this. We're going to come back and have a look at this actual passage shortly, but first I want to give you the context as to what this person did, and then it's going to make a whole lot of sense. So what one of the men did is he called up a silversmith, and you're going to see why when I talk about this passage. He called up the silversmith and he says to him, "Would you mind if I came down one day this week to be able to just observe what you're doing and ask you some questions while you're working?" And the man said, "Yeah, sure, no problems." The man didn't explain why, other than he was curious to understand the process more. So he went down one day and he was there with the silversmith, and the silversmith is putting the silver into the fire, and the man asks what he's doing, and the silversmith says, "I need to put the silver into the fire, but not just into any part of the fire, into the part where the flames are the hottest, so that it will burn away the impurities." The man also noticed that the silversmith was sitting down while he was reaching over and doing this, and he said to the silversmith, "Is it true that you have to sit there the entire time that the silver is being refined?" And the silversmith said to him, "Yes, that's true, but not only do I have to sit here the whole time, but I have to keep a very close eye on the silver, because if it's in the flames for even one moment too long, the silver will be damaged." So the man was left with one final question, and that was, how do you know when the silver is ready? We're going to come back to this story and to the answer to that question, because it really reveals a lot about the heart of the particular passage that I want to discuss with you. And now we're going to go to that passage. So it's in Malachi chapter 3. Now, starting at verse 1, it says, "Behold, I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me." The New Testament identifies this as John the Baptist. And then goes on to say, "And the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple, and the messenger of the covenant in whom you delight. Behold, he is coming, says the Lord of hosts." Now, this messenger is Jesus Christ. In verse 2, it says, "But who can endure the day of his coming, and who can stand when he appears?" This is talking about a purification and a judgment. It goes on to say, "For he is like the refiner's fire and like the fuller's soap. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver, and they will bring offerings in righteousness to the Lord. Then the offerings of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to the Lord, as in the days of old and as in former years." So what this passage is saying is that those offerings will be acceptable to God when they are pure offerings. So now we're going to come back to the story where the man has just asked the silversmith, "How do you know when the silver is ready?" The silversmith looked over to the man and he smiled and he said, "That's easy, when I see my image in it." And this is the same with God in his refining process of us. He desires to refine us through the trials, the temptations, the fiery furnace of life, in a way to accomplish the purpose that his image would be reflected in us. We would grow to become more like Jesus Christ. And whilst that passage applies to the religious leaders, it can also apply to us in the sense that God desires that we would be pure, that we would be sanctified, and from this place he will accept our worship, the worship that comes from a pure heart. I pray that this message has blessed you. Would love to get your thoughts. Leave your comments below and I'll talk to you soon. God bless you, friends.